Hey guys, how's it going? So today I wanted to talk to you about why right now is a great time to purchase a short-term rental. If you're an investor, I'm sure you know right now it's a hard time to find any cash flow in any investment properties. So let's go over why right now is a great time to buy a short-term rental. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm wearing a hat. Well, you can take a look at my hair. It's kind of crazy. But anyways, let's get into it. STR, better known as a short-term rental, is a property that you can rent out. It can be a condo, it can be a single family home, and you can put it on Airbnb or VRBO and potentially have your own website in the future, so you don't have Airbnb or VRBO taking a profit from you once you scale your business. A lot of investors right now are turning to short-term rentals because cash flow here in 2021 is very hard to find. If you're an investor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So the short-term rental business has exploded, especially after the pandemic actually gave fuel to the fire for Airbnb, VRBOs all across the US. So there's different ways to invest in short-term rentals, and just depending on what your comfortability is, where you live, and if you want to invest out of state, there's so many options with cities outside of national parks and so on and so forth. So when investing in an STR, you want to take a look at rental demand, revenue growth, as well as investability. AirDNA gives you the rental demand. It shows you the score once you pay for that certain area that you're looking to purchase the STR. So you can see how often they predict your rental to be booked. And you can also take a look at similar listings in that area that are performing well. So they'll show you their annual growth revenue. Revenue growth, you can see on AirDNA what the properties are expected to do, let's say in July, and what they did the previous year in 2020 in that July. With AirDNA's investability calculator, they actually partner with Zillow, and they take Zillow's Zestimate of your property, and they also see the average income of a full-time Airbnb with that specific area. So they will give you a number, whether it's 90% investability or 70% investability. For me, I want to be at least in an area that's 85% investability by AirDNA, because they've taken all that data and put it together and let me know if that specific area, like Three Rivers, is 93% investability, is a great area to put my money, and the home prices are cheap, as well as the bookings are constant, and per night average you're at $235 per night. Pretty obvious that you want to have the ADR, average daily rate, as well as occupancy as high as possible. For me specifically, I just want to invest in single family residences. I don't want to invest in condos. My strategy is investing outside of national parks. This doesn't have to be the same for you, but I've found that it's very dependable to invest where people like to travel and not in cities where people are in and out for work. But again, it's up to you. But I think that the pandemic has escalated the travel situation, made Airbnb here to stay, and people are gravitating more towards Airbnb. And according to AirDNA, 2021 has been the best year on record for AirDNA. Although they've only been tracking their data since 2018, it's obvious that the pandemic has escalated everything and has had travelers' mindsets switched from hotels to Airbnbs, and I think this is here to stay. I believe that this will continue over the years, and families who want to travel together will end up renting a short-term rental and just split the costs at a house, and they have the backyard for the kids, and they're by themselves. They just want to do their own thing, and they don't have to stay at a hotel and spend all that extra money on food, parking, etc. Another great tool to use on AirDNA, they actually give you upcoming cities to potentially invest in, which a lot of these cities I've never even heard of. So for instance, they have Kentucky, and the city is Slade. There's only 39 active properties. They say annual revenue potentials at $39,000, revenue growth at 95, rental demand 92, investability 100%, and investor score 96.6. So these are all high numbers, and I found that AirDNA is actually very conservative with their numbers that they predict for annual revenue. So this is great. So why is right now the best time to invest in short-term rentals? Well, Airbnb is still relatively new, and a lot of older people are still getting used to using Airbnb, and they're only going to get more savvy with wanting to travel and have their own house to stay in while they're on vacation, but also cash flow. Cash flow is the main reason why a lot of investors are getting into the STR business, and it will continue to boom. So right now it couldn't be better. Interest rates are low, prices are high. That's why finding properties in traditional single family homes or multifamily throughout the US is pretty tough to find a property with cash flow. And with short-term rentals, it's pretty cool because you can still invest in states that usually tend to appreciate with home value. You don't have to go to the Midwest for cash flow, where homes or multifamily homes traditionally don't appreciate as much as, let's say, places in California. They do provide great cash flow in the Midwest, but for short-term rentals, you can invest somewhere like South Lake Tahoe or Palm Springs, just depending on how much money you have, and get that cash flow, which will keep you safe and money in your pocket. And if worse comes to worse, you can still sell the property and or occupy it, but that's not the goal. The goal is to provide a great place for people to stay and enjoy their vacation while turning it into a business and hopefully changing your life. I think it's pretty cool that AirDNA provides information on cities they think you could potentially invest in, whether it's small cap or mid-sized cities. It's cool to see here they have Luray, Virginia, which is close by to where I want to invest. If you watched my previous video, I talked about going over to Virginia and purchasing another Airbnb there. I still haven't pulled the trigger. I told you guys last week that I was hoping to write an offer. I'm still getting my ducks in a row with my pre-approval. I have the pre-approval letter, but behind the scenes, I still have to submit a couple documents to our lender. So I know I'm dragging my feet. I'm hoping that the house will still be for sale once I want to pull the trigger. The market over there in Virginia is very small, and the demand, from what I understand, isn't that great because it is a small town and it's not like Orange County where you have a lot of demand. But the good news is the longer this property sits on the market, better hopes I have of getting a better deal. So I will keep you guys updated with that. But go ahead and do yourself a favor. If you're interested in STRs, just pounce around AirDNA and read some articles that they have. You might find a city that actually is close to where you live and you can potentially invest. So hopefully you guys like this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.